There is a day in every failing relationship that nobody marks on the calendar. You don't notice it happening either. There is no fight, no betrayal, no dramatic movement. But on that day, you stop being lovers and become logistics coordinators and who happen to share a bed. You become roommates, and that's terrifying part. Most people don't realize it's happening until years later. Look, I need you to think about something. When was the last time you and your partner had a conversation that wasn't about the kids, schedule, bills that need to be paid, who's picking up what, what's broken and needs fixing? If you can't remember, if every conversation has become a task list, if you are more like co-managers of a household than people who choose each other, then you need to hear this. You really need to hear this, because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly when and how you became roommates. And more importantly, whether you can still find your way back. Remember when we talked about the relationships that look like fine from the outside? Remember episode 4? This is what's happening on the inside. This is the mechanism of the disconnection. So let's decode it. So what actually happened? Let me tell you about Lauren and Ben. Married for 11 years, one teenager, both successful in their careers. So when Lauren called to book a session, she said something that I hear constantly. What actually happened? Let me tell you about Lauren and Ben. Married 11 years, one teenager, both successful in careers. When Lauren called to book a session, she said something that I hear constantly. She said, "We are not unhappy, we are just roommates." And I don't know when that happened. So when they came in, I asked them both, tell me about your relationship right now, not your marriage, your relationship. They looked at each other. Ben spoke first. He said, we are good. We have got a system. Everything runs smoothly. We are a good team. And I said, a team? Doing what? And he said, life, the house, our daughter, work, all of it. And I turned to Lauren. Is that how you would describe it? And she paused, and then quietly she said, we are efficient. That word hung in the air. Efficient. And I was like, when did you become efficient? I asked. Neither of them could answer. Because it didn't happen in one moment. It happened in 1,000 micro moments that never noticed. They never noticed. So I tried a different question. That when was the last time you had a conversation that had nothing to do with logistics? Silence. When was the last time you asked each other a question out of genuine curiosity, not coordination? More silence. Then I went on. When was the last time you touched each other? Not sexually, just touched. Without it being part of a routine. Ben looked uncomfortable. Lauren's eyes filled with tears. She said, I don't remember. And that's when I knew that they had already become roommates. They just hadn't named it yet. And here's what happened to Lauren and Ben, and what happens to millions of couples. Life become a project. And they become project managers somewhere along the way. And the relationship stopped being about connection and it becomes about coordination. Every conversation turned into who's getting her from soccer, did you pay the electric bill, we need to talk about her grades, the dishwasher is broken again, and many other things. So here's the insidious part. It felt good. They were functioning well, no conflict, no drama. Just two competent adults running a household like a well-oiled machine. Except that machine don't have intimacy. Machines don't have desire. Machines don't choose each other every day. They just run. And that's what Lauren and Ben had become. A machine that ran efficiently with no soul left inside. And I asked them, do you know what your partner is afraid of right now? Not logistics fear like bills or your daughter, but what keeps them up all night? What they dream about, what they are grieving about. So they both shook their heads. Do you know what makes each other feel alive? And they said, no. I asked, do you know what the other person needs emotionally to feel seen? Again, a no. They knew each other's Google Calendar. but they didn't know each other's inner world. And that's the hallmark of a roommate syndrome. You know the logistics of someone's life, you know everything about it, but not the landscape of their soul. What this looks like in real life. And here's how you know that you have become roommates. Pattern number 1. Every conversation is transactional. Listen to your conversations for one day. Please count how many times or count how many are about tasks, schedules, responsibilities, problems to solve. And now count how many are about feelings, dreams, fears, ideas, connection. If the ratio is 95% transactional, 5% connective, you are roommates. Daniel, kind of mine. He told me, I realized we only talk in bullet points. Everything is like, did you do X? I need you to do Y. Don't forget Z. So we're like middle managers emailing each other, except we live together. Pattern number 2, physical affection. Physical affection has become pre-functionary. There is a specific kind of touch in roommate marriages, if you notice. It's not absent, it's just automatic. The kiss goodbye, that's more of a habit than desire. The hug, that's more courtesy than connection. The hand hold in public, that's more performance than intimacy. Touch as a checklist item, showed affection. But there's no presence in it, no meaning, no wanting. Sophie, she was also my client. She said once that he kisses me goodbye every morning, same kiss, same spot on my forehead, like he's patting a dog. And I realized that he's not kissing me, she said. He's fulfilling his role as a good husband. The kiss isn't about connection, it's about obligation. That's what happens. Pattern 3, you have stopped being curious about each other's desires. And there's a quick test. When was the last time you asked your partner something you genuinely didn't know the answer to? Not how was your day? Again, logistics. But what's something that you have been thinking about that you haven't told me? What's scaring you right now? If you could change one thing about your life, what would it be? And so in roommate marriages, curiosity dies because you assume you already know everything about this person. This feels stable, predictable, known. But here's what the psychologist Esther Perel said. She says that the quality of your relationship is directly proportional to the quality of your question. And in roommate marriages, the question, they have stopped. Marcus, I had a client. He told me that my wife asked me what I was afraid of, and I realized that she hasn't asked me a real question in years, and I haven't asked her one either. We just assume, we operate on assumptions that might have been true 5 years ago, but they aren't true now. See? Pattern number 4. Intimacy feels like another task. Sex, when it happens, feels obligatory. Not because you don't want it, but because it's become another item on the relationship maintenance checklist. Tuesday, take out the trash. Wednesday, pay bills. Friday, have sex. There is no spontaneity, no desire, no pursuit. So just, we should probably, and afterwards, we are both relieved because it's done. It's kind of some obligation was due, it's done. Not because it was bad, but because you have fulfilled your role. So the role has been played very well. So maintained physical intimacy. I had a client named Elena. She said, we have scheduled sex. It sounds practical, but what it really means is neither of us want it enough to initiate the spontaneously. So we schedule it like a dentist appointment, and it feels about as romantic. And I was like, how can it feel romantic? Pattern number 5, you talk about we, but live as I. Pay heed to this. In public, you are a unit. We think, we are planning, we decided, but in reality, you make most decisions alone. You process your emotions alone. You handle your struggles alone. You are just two parallel lives happening in the same house with occasional coordination meetings. This is what attachment theorist, a very famous one, Sue Johnson, She calls attachment injury disguised as independence. You are not independent, you are isolated. But you have convinced yourself that isolation is strength. Pattern number 6, relief, not disappointment. When plans change, and this is one is very brutal. If your partner cancels plans with you and your first feeling is relief, you are roommates. Because roommates don't long for each other's company, they tolerate each other's presence. I had a client named Chris who told me that she texted that she had to work late, and I felt, he said, lighter. Like I had just gotten a night off. Not from work, from her. And that's when I knew something was deeply wrong. That's what happens. Now coming on to the root cause. Why this happens psychologically? Why does this happen on this emotional level? Why do two people who choose each other become logistical coordinators? The answer lies in the neuroscience of habituation combined with the tyranny of functionality. So let me explain. The brain's efficiency protocol. Your brain is constantly trying to conserve energy. And one way it does this through habituation, turning repeated experiences into background noise. So in the early days of a relationship, your partner is novel. Every conversation reveals something new. Every touch activates your reward centers. Your brain is awake to them. It responds to them. But over time, especially after years, your brain categorizes them as known. And known things, they don't get the same neural attention. This is why you can't stop noticing the way they laugh, the specific things they care about, the shifts in their inner world. Your brain has filled them under stable, predictable, no need to attend closely. This is not malicious, please bear it in mind. It's neurological efficiency, but it kills intimacy. Because intimacy requires attention and your brain has stopped paying attention. Number 2, the functionality trap. And this is why it gets worse. Modern life rewards functionality. If your household runs smoothly, if bills are paid, if kids are thriving, if no one is complaining, you think we are doing great. But you have confused functional partnership with intimate partnership. Functional partnership is about execution. Intimate partnership is about connection. And you can't have one without the other. In fact, you can be excellent functional partners, efficient, coordinated, productive, and while being complete strangers emotionally. There's a very famous philosopher, Martin Buber. And he wrote about 2 kinds of relationship. I-it relationships, where you relate to the other person as an object to be managed. I-do relationships, where you relate to the other person as a subject to be known. Roommate marriages, they are I-it relationships. You are managing each other, coordinating with each other, using each other to maintain a functional life. But you are not seeing each other, not meeting each other, not knowing each other. So this is I-it. Next part, the avoidance of conflict. And here's the final piece. Many couples become roommates because it's safer than being partners. Real partnership requires what? Vulnerability, conflict, negotiation, risk is involved, the possibility of being hurt. But roommates don't fight, they just coordinate. And coordination feels peaceful, except it's not peace. In fact, it's avoidance disguised as harmony. Psychologist Harriet Lerner calls this the dance of distance. You have both unconsciously agreed. Let's not go too deep. Let's not ask too much. Let's just coexist efficiently. And it works. It works until one day someone wakes up and realizes, I'm married to someone I don't actually know anymore. The lie that keeps you trapped. The ghost belief in roommate marriage. We are partners because we function well together, and that's what mature love looks like. Let me dismantle this. Functioning well together is necessary. I agree with it. But it's not sufficient. You know what else functions well together? A business partnership, a sports team, a military unit. All of these require coordination, efficiency, and aligned goals. None of them requires intimacy. So the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wrote that it's not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgment about things. And the judgment you have made is efficiency is equal to success. But what if efficiency in the relationship is actually a red flag? What if the smoothness of your coordination is a symptom of how little you are actually risking with each other? See? Because real intimacy is inefficient. It requires conversations that don't produce actionable outcomes, conflicts that temporarily disrupt harmony, vulnerability that feels unproductive, time spent on connection that doesn't accomplish anything. A famous poet, Rainer Maria, wrote like this: love consists in this, that two solitudes protect and touch and greet each other. Beautiful. So notice what he didn't say. Love consists in two people efficiently coordinating their schedules. In roommate marriages, you have optimized away everything inefficient. And in doing so, you have optimized away intimacy. You have mistaken the absence of conflict for the presence of connection. You have mistaken coordination for choosing each other. And you know what the tragic part? You might say this, that we will stay this forever because nothing is wrong. The house runs, the kids thrive, the bills are paid. You are just alone together. You are just alone together, which is one of the most existentially painful states a human being can experience. Not loneliness in solitude, but loneliness in partnership. You are allowed to want more than functionality, please. You are allowed to want to be known, not just coordinated with. And even if everything is working, especially if everything is working, because a well-functioning machine is still just a machine. So what actually matters now? So what do you do if you have become roommates? And here's the path back or path out tonight. The disruption question tonight, after the logistics are done, sit down with your partner, no phones, no TV, and ask one question. If we meet today, knowing about what you know about me, would you choose me? And don't let them deflect that, that's a weird question. Say, I'm serious, would you? Their answer and the way they answer will tell you everything. Do they lean in with curiosity? Do they get defensive? Do they avoid? Because this question disrupts the roommate dynamic immediately. Because roommates don't choose each other, they just coexist. So after tonight, this week, the non-logistical conversation, it's an experiment. Once this week, have a 20-minute conversation where you are not allowed to talk about kids, bills, schedules, house, projects, or any such tasks. Only ideas, feelings, memories, dreams, fears, observations about life. If you can't sustain 20 minutes, that's information. You know that. Then this month, reintroduce inefficiency. Do something together that has no purpose except connection. Take a drive with no destination. Sit on the porch and watch the sunset. Cook a meal together that's too complicated for a weeknight. Make out without it leading to sex. Dance in the kitchen for no reason. Inefficiency is the antidote to roommate syndrome, trust me. Because connection doesn't produce anything, it just is. Or if nothing changes, the decision point is there. So if after 60 days you are still operating as roommates, if your partner won't engage with disruption, and if they are content with coordination and resistant towards connection, you have a decision to make. Option 1, the decisions. Accept that this is your marriage. Not with resentment, with genuine acceptance. Some people are fine being functional partners, and that too without any deep intimacy. So if you can genuinely accept, not resign yourself, but accept and then stay. Option 2, leave. Just leave. Not because they are bad, not because you hate them, but because you want a partnership, not a project management system, and you're allowed to want that. Even if everything works, even if everything is going fine. The paradox, sometimes the only way to save a marriage from roommate syndrome is to be willing to leave it. Because your willingness to walk always signals that I am not willing to settle for coordination when I need connection. And sometimes that wake up call, that is the only thing that can break the pattern. But sometimes it's good enough to, you have to just follow through. So there's a quick note. If you are recognizing this pattern and want to assess exactly that where you are, you can contact me as well for one-on-one coaching. So there is nothing inherently wrong with being roommates. We need to clear that. If you both signed up for it, if you both genuinely prefer functionality over intimacy, if you are both content with coordination, that's great. Then great, you have built something stable. But most people in roommate marriages, they didn't choose this. They just drifted into it. And they stay in it because nothing's obviously broken. The house works, the kids are fine, the calendar is coordinated, but inside they are starving. Not for perfection, but for passion that never fades. For the simple experience of being seen by the other person they live with, or being chosen, not just coordinated with, of being known, not just managed. And if that's you, if you are reading this and thinking that we are just roommates, you don't have to stay, please. Not in the marriage, not in the pattern. You're allowed to disrupt the efficiency if you are listening to this conversation. To demand something messier, deeper, more alive, even if it means risking the stability, because a stable, efficient, well-functioning marriage where you don't actually know each other anymore is just a very expensive way to be alone, by the way. So if you have realized you are roommates, drop a comment. Just say roommates. I'll try to connect with you. You don't have to explain. Just let me know that you are here. You're not alone in this. So if this video felt personal, it's because it touched a pattern, not a personality. Clarity doesn't tell you what to do. It helps you stop lying to yourself. This is season 1, the collapse arc, and I'll see you in the next episode.